Good morning, sir, and good morning, classmates. I'm Engine Cadet Royalan Espina, and I am the leader of the Group 1 with my co-members, Engine Cadet Ramon Alegre Tabura, Engine Cadet Benedict Jan Domugho, Engine Cadet Halbendev L. Angana, Engine Cadet Freddy L. Abeson Jr., Engine Cadet Arvin D. Melegrito, and Engine Cadet Rabinji Norio. This is for educational use only. Our group is allowing our instructor, Mr. Roldan Ardens, to use this as an educational material. So we're about to present the sustainable development. So the first is objectives. To know more about sustainable development, to know the history of Sustainable Development Goal, to know the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of UN. So what is a sustainable development? Sustainable development is the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So what is sustainable development all about? The concept of sustainable development can be interpreted in many different ways, but it's an approach to development that looks to balance different and often competing needs against an awareness of the environment, social, and economical limitations we face as a society. Although often development is driven by one particular need, without fully considering the wonders of the future's impacts. We are already seeing the damage this kinds of approach can cause from large-scale financial crises caused by irresponsible banking, the change in a global climate resulting from our dependence on a fossil fuel-based energy source, the longer we pursue the unstable development, the more frequent and severe its consequences are likely to become, which is why we need to take actions. So, it is all just about the environment. Living within our environment limits is one of the central principles of sustainable development. It's far broader than just the environment. It is also about ensuring a strong, a healthy, and just society. This means meeting the diverse needs of all people, is existing futures and communities, promoting a personal well-being, social cohesion, and inclusion, and creating equal opportunity. If sustainable development focuses on the future, does that mean we lose out now? Not necessarily. A sustainable development is about finding better ways of holding both of the futures and present. We might need to change the way you work and live now. This doesn't mean that our quality lives will be reduced. A sustainable development approach can bring many benefits. It's a short, medium term. Life will be reduced. Savings as a result of CDC is a scrutiny government has saved by improving efficiency across states, health, and transport. Instead of driving, switching to walking or cycling for short journeys will save your money, improve your health, and often just quick and convenient. This all.
Good day, sir. I'm Freddy Abeson Jr. I report about the how does sustainable developments affects me or us. The we approach developments affects everyone's the impact or decisions as the societies have very real consequences for the people's lives. For plannings of communities, for example, reduce the quality for the life for the peoples who lives in them, and imports rather than growing food locally puts our country at risk of food shortage. Sustainable development provides an approach to making better decisions on the issues that affects all our lives. By the incorporating health plans into the plannings of new communities, for instance, we can ensure the residents have easy access to healthcare and leisure facilities, and the importance of sustainable developments for me is sustainable developments always encourages us to conserve and enhance our resources like water and food, and changes and manners in which we develop and use technologies. uh, all countries should meet their basic needs of employment like food, energy, water, and sanitation. What sustainable developments to me is sustainable development is overarching paradigm of United Nations. The Botland Commission's reports as developments that meet the needs of new presents without compromising the ability of future generations meet their own needs. This is the sample of the sustainable social, human, economics, and environmental. For example of human sustainable encompasses the developments of skills and human capacities to support the functions and the sustainability of organizations and promote the well-being communities and societies. The social sustainability is social aims to preserve social capitals by investing and creating services that constitutes the frameworks of our societies. The concept of accommodates a largest view of the world in relations to communities, culture, and globalizations. It means to preserve the future generations and the acknowledge of what we do can have impacts on other on the world. Economics, example of economics, aims to maintain the capital's impacts of social sustainable focuses of the improving social equality, economics, sustainability aims to improve the standards of living. In the context of business, it refers the efficiency of assets of maintenance companies for profitabilities over time. The example of government governmental sustainability is aims of improve human welfare through the protections of natural capitals like land, air, water, mineral, etc. Initiatives and improve in programs and defines environmentally sustainable when the ensure that the needs of populations are met without risk compromising the needs of future generations. And the next, how do we make happens? We all the parts to play small actions taken collectivity can and up to real change. However, to achieve sustainability in our country, we believe the government needs to take the lead. The Sustainable Development Commission or SDC, the job is to help this happen, and we do ethos mixtures of scrutiny is advice and buildings organization or organizational capacities for sustainable development. And what is the difference about the stability and from the sustainability articulate models of global sustainable development? Stability is designed certain civilizations and interacts with the stable short-term temporal natures of environments. Sustainable is designing sanitations that the organic natures of the planet's environments and sustains developments and advancement. What the importance of environment in the development of society? For me, is a life originates and exists on Earth because of the environment. Because of environment provides all necessary conditions of existence, no living beings can survive without environment. All living organisms influence its environment and it turns to get influenced by it. And the environment affects human behavior. For me, environments can facilitate or discourage interactions amongst people and the subject benefits of social support. For example, and inviting space of com- comfortable shirts or and privacies can encourage families to stay and visits with patience. The environment can influence people's behaviors and motivations to act. How can help minimize the negative impacts of humans' activities? Sustainable environments, it using things in environmentally conscious way. It provides for our humans needs, but while doing that, it preserves ecosystems that produce natural resources. Our environment affects our moods, and our moods affects our purchasing decisions. Good weather alone has been shown to increase consumers' spending on unrelated products such as the newspapers and subscriptions and green tea because extra sunlight improves mood. Specific environments can also influence our moods. If we don't learn to live sustainably, is some of the effects will be more landfills or popping up everywhere, more animals going to extinct due to deforestation and populations, and increase the respiratory disease. Like the environmental aspects on human health included the physical, chemicals and biological hazards like air, water, soil, sounds, and the land pollutions are measures of illness in all human. Physical hazards includes airborne particular particles, humidities, equipment designs, and radiations, etc. That's all. Thank you.
Good day everyone. I am Engine Cadet Domugho Benedictian, and good day, especially to you sir, good day. I'm going to tackle about the history of sustainable development goal. So as you can see, the sustainable development goals is, or what we call SDGs, were born at the United Nations Conference on Sustainable Development in Rio de Janeiro in 2012. The objective was to produce a set of universal goals that meet the urgent environmental, political, and economic challenges facing our world. So, the SDGs replaced the Millennium Development Goals, what we call the MDGs, which started at a global effort in 2000 to tackle the indignity of poverty. The MDGs established measurable, universally agree objective for tackling extreme poverty and hunger, prevented deadly diseases, and expanding primary education to all children. So among others, development priorities. So for the 15 years, the MGDS drove progress on several important areas. So so reducing the income of poverty and providing much needed access to water and sanitation, then driving down child mortality and drastically improving maternal health. Or they also kick-started a global movement for free primary education, aspiring countries to invest in their future generations. So most significance, the MGDS made huge strides in combating HIV, AIDS, and other treatable diseases such as marial, and tuberculosis. And next, which is next slide, KMDG, MDG, MDGS achievements. So more than 1 billion people have been lifted out of extreme poverty. Second, which is the child mortality dropped by more than half since 1990. And then third one is the number of out school children has dropped by more than half since 1990. And then lastly, which is the HIV AIDS infection falls by almost 40% since 2000. So the legacy achievements of the MGDS provide us with valuable lessons and experience to begin work on the new goals. But for the millions of people around the world, the job remains unfinished. So we need to go at the last mile, ending hunger, achieving full gender equality, improving health services, and getting every child into school beyond primary. So we need to uh, end this hunger and achieve more gender equality and improve health services and getting child into school beyond primary. So we need to do that, and we need to uh, follow the MGDS. The SDG are also urgent call to shape the world into a sustainable path, and the SDGs are a bold commitment to finish what we started and tackle some of the more pressing challenges facing the world today. So we have many challenges that facing today. all 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 17 goals interconnect, meaning success in one affects success for others. So dili ra kitay lambo ani ug di maprotektahan pa nato atong mga uh, people, mga kuan to people sa atong palibot, and dealing with the threats of climate change impact how we manage our fragile natural resources, and achieving gender equality or better health. So sample na ni ang infection sa HIV, AIDS, so nga 40% since 2000. So how we protect, we need to follow the goals of the 17 goals of MGDS, and we need to achieve more. And then yes, equality or better health helps eradicate poverty, and fostering pace an inclusive society will reduce inequalities and helps economics prosper. So in short, this is the greatest uh, change chance we have to improve life for future generations. So we need to be responsible, and we need to follow what are the MGDS achievements, and we need to add more achievements in order to have a better life, and in order to uh, have a better country. And that's all. Next slide, please.
Sir, I am Norio, so this is my part. The SDGs coincided with another historic 192 states and the EU, representing over 98% of global greenhouse gas emission, have ratified or acceded to the agreement, including China and the United States. The centuries with the first and second largest CO2 emission among UNFCCC member, all 197 UNFCCC member have either signed or acceded to the Paris Agreement. The Paris Agreement is a legally binding international treaty on climate change. Its goal is to limit global warming to well below 2, preferably to 1.5 degrees Celsius compared to pre-industrial level. To achieve this long-term temperature goal, countries aim to reach global peaking of greenhouse gas emission as soon as possible to achieve a climate neutral world by mid-century. The SDGs are unique is that they cover issues that affect us all. They reaffirm our international commitment to end poverty permanently everywhere. They are ambitious in making sure no one is left behind. More importantly, they involve us all to build a more sustainable, safer, more prosperous plan for all humanity where we can enjoy peace. Through SDG, they formulate organizing principles which helps to sustain the limited resources essential to provide for the needs of our future generation. As a result, they will be able to lead a content life the planet. Generally, SDGs will be of much help for the younger generation, not to mention that they are the key to achieve this SDG as it is a safe space to a rightful, healthy, safe, and clean environment. So, that's all, sir. Thank you.
I am Engine Cadet Angana and I will be reporting about the first three of the 17th Sustainable Development Goals of UN. So before we start, let me tell you first about what are the UN Sustainable Development Goals all about. So the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDG, also known as the Global Goals, were adopted by the United Nations in 2015 as a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that by 2030, all people enjoy peace and prosperity. So first is the no poverty. So eradicating poverty in its all form remains one of the greatest challenges facing humanity. While the number of people living in extreme poverty dropped by more than half between 1990 and 2015, too many are still struggling for the most basic human needs. As of 2015, about 736 million people still live in less than $1.90 a day. Still, many people are lacking of food, clean drinking water, and sanitation. Rapid growth in countries such as China and India has lifted millions out of poverty, but progress has been uneven. Women are more likely to be poor than men because they have less paid work, education, and own less property. Progress has also been limited in other regions such as South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa, which account for 80% of those living in extreme poverty. Then, new threats brought on by climate change, conflict, and food insecurity means even more work is needed to bring people out of poverty. Then the SDG, or the Sustainable Development Goals, are a bold commitment to finish what we started and end poverty in all forms and dimensions by 2030. This involves targeting the most vulnerable, increasing basic resources and services, and supporting communities affected by conflict and climate-related disasters. So, by means daw na in 2030 dapat ma-reduce by half and ang poverty. Para ma-reduce sad ang mga cause sa poverty, din dapat both men and women, in particular katong mga poor, kay naay rights nga magkupot sa ilang mga economic resources, like for example titulo sa yuta or any kinds of properties. Then the next is zero hunger. So the number of undernourished people has dropped by almost half in the past 2 decades because of rapid economic growth and increased agricultural productivity. Many developing countries that used to suffer from famine and hunger can now meet their nutritional needs. Central and East Asia, Latin America, and the Caribbean have all made huge progress in eradicating extreme hunger. Unfortunately, extreme hunger and malnutrition remains a huge barrier to development in many countries. There are 821 million people estimated to be chronically undernourished as of 2017, often as a direct consequence of environmental degradation, drought, and biodiversity loss. Over 90 million children under 5 years old are dangerously underweight. Undernourishment and severe food insecurity appear to be increasing in all regions of Africa as well as in the South America. So the SDG, or the Sustainable Development Goals, aims to end all forms of hunger and malnutrition by 2030, making sure all people, especially children, have sufficient and nutritious food all year. This involves promoting sustainable agricultural and supporting small-scale farmers and equal access to land, technology, and markets. It also requires international cooperation to ensure investment in infrastructure and technological to improve agricultural productivity. So, by it means, in the 2030, molesen na ang malnutrition and katong mga agricultural productivity kay maka-maximize para makaproduce sila og ginaghanay. Then next is good health and well-being. So we have made great progress against several leading causes of death and disease. Life expectancy has increased dramatically. Infant and maternal mortality rates have declined. We've turned the tides on HIV and malaria deaths have halved. So it means natunga na siya nihinay. Then good health is essential to sustainable development in the 2030. The agenda reflects on the complexity and interconnectedness of the two. It takes into account of widening economics and social inequalities, rapid urbanization, and threats to the climate and the environment. The continuing burden of HIV and other infectious disease, and emerging challenges such as non-communicable disease. Universal health coverage will be integral to achieving SDG 3, ending poverty and reducing inequalities. Then, emerging global health priorities not explicitly including in the SDG, including antimicrobial resistance, also demand action. But the world is off track to achieve the health-related SDG. Progress has been uneven, both between and within countries. There's a 31 years gap between the countries with the shortest and longest life expectancy. And while some countries have made expressive gain and national average high, that many being left behind. Multi-sectoral, right-based, and gender-sensitive approaches are essential to address inequalities and to build good health to being good health for all. Then, so by it means daw na in 2030 mudako ang percent sa mga tao nga healthy and wala kayo'y sakit. Kanang mga sakit like AIDS, tuberculosis, malaria, and neglected tropical disease, and combat hepatitis. Then waterborne disease and any other communicable disease para ma-prevent na kaon ka og sakto din, tuog sakto din, exercise daily. That's all.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, classmate. I'm Engine Cadet Ramon Melegrito Tabura II. I'm the one to report the quality education, gender equality, and clean water and sanitation. So first is quality education. So achieving inclusive and quality education for all reaffirms the belief that education is one of the most powerful proven vehicles for sustainable development. So this goal ensures that all girls and boys complete free primary and secondary schooling. By 2030, it also aims to provide equal access to affordable vocational training to eliminate gender and wealth disparities and achieve universal access to a quality higher education. So, since 2000, there has been enormous progress in achieving target of universal primary education. The total enrollment rate in developing region reached 91% in 2015, and worldwide, number of children out of school has dropped by almost half. There has also been a dramatic increase in literacy rates, and many more girls are in school than ever before. These are all remarkable successes. Progress has also been tough in some developing regions due to high levels of poverty, armed high level armed conflicts and other emergencies in Western Asia and North Africa. Ongoing armed conflict has seen an increase in the number of children out of school. This is worrying trend while sub-Saharan Africa made the greatest progress in primary school enrollment among all developing regions from 52% in 1990 up to 78% in 2012. Large disparities still remain. Children from the poorest households are up to 4 times more likely to be out of school than those of the richest household. Disparities between rural and urban areas also remain high. So amoy na siya nga dapat nga dapat natay makatunan sa pag-eskwela nato kay aron syempre nasa tayo ma-learn kay mao gani na eskwela ta nay mo guide nato kay nabay uban gusto makat-on pero unsaon man kay di man sila makaskwela kay walay kwarta ka pa eskwela hayahay kay nang uban kay na kwarta na ka pa eskwela pero sige lagulakbol mo nang ang uban na opportunity nga gusto sila mo na opportunity nga pa-eskwela nila i-grab nila. So the second is the gender equality. So ending all discrimination against women and men is not only basic human right, it's crucial for sustainable future. It's proven that empowering women and men helps economic growth and development. UNDP has made gender equality central to its work, and we've seen remarkable progress in the past 20 years. There are more girls in school now compared to 15 years ago, and most regions have reached gender parity in primary education. But although there are more women than ever in the labor market, there are still large inequalities in some regions, with women systematically denied the same work rights as men, sexual violence and exploitation, the unequal division of unpaid care and domestic work, and discrimination in public office all remain huge barriers to climate change, and disasters continue to have a disproportionate effects on women and children, as do conflict and immigration. It is vital to give women equal rights and labor property, sexual and reproductive health, and to technology and the internet. Today, there are more women in public office than ever before, but encouraging more women leaders will help achieve greater gender equality. So mo lagi na dapat i-treat na to tanan same mo gani gender equality, bisan unsa pa na sila, bisan nabilong pa na sila sa LGBT, dapat i-treat na to na sila kuan kay parehas ra ta tanan tao ta, pero ang uban kay lahi lang sila kuan kanang pamati silang kagalingon nga ang gusto nila kay pang babae, pero laki ang ilang gender, sa laki lang male ilang gender, pero ilang gusto pang babae. What ay mahimo, dapat i-treat na to sila like respeto na to sila para respeton sa nila. So mga to, next is clean water and sanitation. So clean water and sanitation is the proportion of population using a safely managed sanitation services and a hand washing facility with soap and water. This is measured as the share of population using safely managed sanitation facilities and at least basic hand washing facilities. So proper water sanitation is a key foundation of achieving a sustainable development goals, so including good health and gender equality. By managing our water sustainably, we are also able to better manage our production of food and energy and contribute the decent work and economic growth. So dapat i-maintain gyud nato nga limpyo aron malikay ta sa mga sakit, that masustain nato ang sa tubig. So water scarcity affects more than 40% of people, an alarming figure that is projected to rise as temperatures do. Although 2.1 billion people have improved water sanitation since 1990, dwindling drinking water supplies are affecting every continent. More and more countries are experiencing water stress and increasing drought, and desertification is already worsening these trends. By 2050, it is projected that at least 1 in our 4 people will suffer recurring water shortage. Safe and affordable drinking water for all by 2030 requires we invest in adequate infrastructure, provide sanitation facilities, and encourage hygiene, protecting and restoring water-related ecosystems is essential. So, ensuring universal, safe, and affordable drinking water involves reaching over 800 million people who lack basic services and improving accessibility and safety of service of over 2 billion. In 2015, 4.5 billion people lacked safely managed sanitation service with adequately disposed or treated excreta, and 2.3 billion lack even basic sanitation. So mao to, dapat sa mga atong mga imnon tubig, dapat kinahanglan gyud nato nga limpyo para sustainable, nga dili ta magkasakit, healthy atong lawas, kay na magyud na uban magsugod sa atong imnon, sa atong mga pangkanon, pero dapat sa atong imnon, so dapat sustain nato ang kalimpyo para dili ta magkasakit. That's all. Thank you.
So, hello everyone. I am Engine Cadet Melegrito, and I'm going to continue the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the UN. So, I will continue with the Goal 7, affordable and clean energy. So, what is affordable and clean energy? So, ensure access to affordable, reliable, and sustainable modern energy for all. So, let's go back to where between 2000 and 2018, the number of people will with electricity increased from 78 to 90%, and the numbers without electricity dipped to 789 million. So this means that uh, it helps other countries or other continents with still lacking of energy for they still can't be developed, or countries that are not yet developed, countries that can't reach um, energy through some of their villages or their parts of their country, so they can still afford to have energy. So yes, as the population continues to grow, so will the demand for cheap energy. And an economy reliant of fossil fuels is creating drastic changes to our climate. So, investigation in solar, wind, and thermal power, improving energy productivity, and ensuring energy for all is vital if we are to achieve the SDGs 7 by 2030. So, which means that we are now focusing to use some renewable energy. So sample of these are from solars, the or some wind. So expanding infrastructures and upgrading technology to provide clean and more efficient energy in all countries will encourage growth and help the environment. So it's a win-win for both the environment and for the country. For it will help the country to have an affordable energy for all, and helps improve the countries in its production. For some investors might uh, be planning for a country. For as of I heard that in our country, not much have invested in our country for the lack of energy. So this would be a great opportunity if we can achieve this goal to have an affordable energy by using renewable energy, and to have um, enough supply of energy to help the economy grow. And as for the new administration for our country today, we hope that he will he would find a way to help our economy with our problem in energy. So next would be the goal 8, the decent work and economic growth. So what is in goal 8? So promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. So over the past 25 years, the number of workers living in extreme poverty has declined dramatically, despite the lasting impact of the 2008 economic crisis and global recession in developing countries. The middle class now makes up more than 34% of total employment, a number that has almost tripled between 1991 and 2015. However, As the global economy continues to recover, we are seeing slower growth, widening inequalities, and not enough jobs to keep up with a growing labor force. According to the International Labor Organization, more than 204 million people were unemployed in 2015. So the SDGs promote sustained economic growth, higher levels of productivity, and technological innovation, encouraging the some entrepreneurship and job creation are key to this, as are effective measures to eradicate forced labor, slavery, and human trafficking. With these targets in mind, the goal is to achieve full and productive employment and decent work for all women and by men by 2030. So this is for some countries that are experiencing extreme poverty. With the help of their own government, giving jobs for people will also help its economic to grow, because growing economy starts from its people having a fair job and employment for a developing country. So so as of our country, Philippines, um, job are year by year we are experiencing imbalance. So this means that some has job percent of uh, job percentage, high percentage of job employment, and sometimes low percentage of unemployed people in our country. So by doing so, by helping the economic growth, our government or some of our leaders would help in making jobs for people, to help them and to be employed and to have decent jobs and help their families, and also for our government. So hoping for this next administration to give and support people with employments and jobs that are invested from foreign and our local businesses to create more job and help our country. So that would be all for the that would be all for the 17 sustainable development goals of UN. Things with goal 8, and it will be continued by the group 2. So that would be all for my report in 17 goals of UN, and group 2 will continue with the goal 9. So that would be all, and thank you together with my group mates, the group 1. Thank you for watching, and God bless.